else instead of what you do here. No job? Well, of course, you can live on your drilling income. The poverty level, you didn't sell your land now, your mineral rights to live in poverty, did you? The poverty level is $22,000 a year for a family of 4. How far is that $4,800 an acre going to go? How many years are you going to be able to live off that? And your royalties, remember, they go up for 2 years and then they drop sharply off. We learned that in all those lectures. And you think you have a drug problem here? A crime problem? I have to tell you, we live in Mayberry. Wait till you buy that average house and have uprooted your family from all that they have known, from the church, from a place where everybody knows everybody else, and you move to the big time, where you have to lock your car, your house, your garage, and the gate to your stockade fence, if you have a yard at all. So you think you have it tough here, living day to day? Compare the cost of living here to the cost of living almost anywhere in this country, and know you are in a good spot. This is a wonderful place. I just finished having some care at a hospital in New York City. Parking, not the hospital care, cost me between $36 and $42 a day. Parking the car. Just go to the internet and look up the cost of living anywhere else. Taxes, West Virginia ranks 4th lowest in property taxes in the United States. We pay that less than 1% of our income in property taxes. 46 other states charge more. And when you move away because you are getting sick and can't drink the water or farm anymore, you will still be paying tax on that unusable land you left behind, as well as tax on whatever new place you go, and tax on the income from that land. And although useless for equity, the assessed evaluation for that land will go up. Read the letter in last week's Pocahontas Times for that explanation. Let's look at one person, how one person spent her $9,000 drilling income. It's in this article, which I'll give you. She's got $9,000. She spent $4,500 for co-pays and deductibles for doctor's visits. She spent $1,150 for gas to drive to the doctors. She set $2,700 aside to pay her increased income tax because she is now in a higher tax bracket. And the remaining $750 is a down payment on a camper, since she can't live at home anymore because it's poisonous. And she said, I have to worry every day if my kids are going to have cancer. I worry for the rest of my life about them with the amount of carcinogens we now have in our blood. We've lost everything. Our pets, the value of our house. No amount of money that we ever get from royalties would ever replace my children's health. So I just wanted to clarify why $4,800 and the risk isn't worth it to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd just like to make one comment on that. I just wonder, out of the people that said they would turn down that $4,800 an acre, how many of them was born here, was raised here, gets up at 4 o'clock in the morning, works probably 2 to 3 jobs at a minimum to make their house payment, their car payment, and to feed their kids. I'm one of them people.
Me.
You know, and I'm not saying that I'm in agreeing of leasing my land. I'm not. And I don't plan on leasing it. But when I can't feed my family, yes, I will lease my land. When I'm forced to do it, I will do it. I don't get the opportunity to go to the mailbox and get my paycheck. I have to work hard. I work 3 jobs right now and barely get by in Pocahontas County. When they offer me $4,800, I can proudly say I'll probably take it. That's all I got to say.
Jamie?
Yes.
We're at a different point in our lives, I acknowledge that. But we've all been where you are when we were your age. And I, for one, would not have mortgaged my children's health. I'd have found some other way to do it.
You'd let them starve to death?
No, but I'd have found another way to feed my children before I would put their health at risk and that of my neighbors.
So you'd leave Pocahontas County then?
I don't know. I don't know what I'd have done, Jamie.
Well,
But I
that's,
think,
that's
but
where I've
my
been.
point is there,
That's why I don't have kids, because I couldn't afford to feed them if I had them. I couldn't put clothes on their back. I couldn't send them to school. The income I make here don't pay me to do that.
Jane, Pocahontas County is not the only place that has hard times. I was in Fort Worth, Texas as a single parent with 2 children, bringing home $119 every 2 weeks, of which $100 of that went to daycare so I could work, so I could feed my kids. But the reason I did that, the reason I didn't go on welfare or anything else, the reason I did that is because my kids were more important to me than anything else in this world. And I guess, you know, true, talking as a mother, and yes, there were opportunities for some people there in Fort Worth, but back in those days, you were told, you have small children, you're not a good risk. We can't hire you for the good paying jobs. So all of us have been through this, Jamie, and all of us have tough decisions to make.
But are you going through it right now? That's what I want to know.
No, not right now.
Well, I'm going through it right now.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is, we've been there and we've had the tough decisions to make. And one of my tough decisions to make was, did I stay with a man because he could give me the money that I needed to live, that mistreated my children, that mistreated me? Or did I leave him and find a way to make it on my own? It's the same kind of decision.
That's right.
It's
and
the
I
same
can leave
exact
Pocahontas
kind of
County
decision.
tomorrow and make 3 times the money I'm making right here. No problem.
I
I
could
could probably leave today and do it.
Yeah,
If I wanted to leave, but I don't want to leave. That's
exactly.
why I'm still here.
Exactly.
I'd like to,
We have one more. It's in here.
so I think the people
Do you want to go around? I think we have some people who want to say something. Anybody want to say anything? Out there?
I don't have a lot to say about this. This is just kind of an answer to some comments about whether the risks were real or not. Those are a few, rather than try and list all of the bad things that have happened. I just picked a few and gave a longer description of the details because they're well documented. I have pictures and everything to show the kinds of things that are really happening to people. The thing about the spills to note that I've mentioned is that there are cases where the spill was discovered by citizens rather than reported to the DEP. When they did call the DEP, they found out that it hadn't been reported, which leads to the question of how many spills go unreported. And those incidents have nothing to do with the actual fracking under the ground, as several of the experts have mentioned that we've listened to. It isn't so much the fracking as it is things like the spills and bad cement jobs and you know, blowouts and so forth that lead to contaminated water. If there's any damage from the fracking down a mile deep, it's probably going to happen 15, 20 years from now. There's one more thing that's just happened in Wetzel County that isn't there. I don't even have all the details on it yet, but a mountain or a mountainside slipped with a pad on it and 2 homes had to be evacuated and they're not livable anymore. So that's the latest thing in Wetzel County that's happened to people. Is Wetzel County any more hilly or steep than Pocahontas County? That they would have a slip like that?
my impression from the visit there is it reminds me of Doddridge County too.
Yeah.
Sort of what I'll call faster hills. The hills they don't have mountain ridges like spines like we have, like the Allegheny
Right.
and back Allegheny, but it's lots of mountains. There's just very little flat space.
Mm-hmm.
And, the roads we drove on were they wound around the tops of the mountains.
Uh-huh.
So the views were expansive, large views.
Okay.
It's mountainous. Very hilly.
Very hilly. Okay. All right. Well, that's it.
Anything else on the presentation from Eight Rivers Council?
I have one question I'd like to ask, please. When we talked about the lady talked about the amount of taxes that we pay here for our income, and I find it kind of ironic that she mentioned that the poverty income for a family of 4 was about $22,000. For a family of 3, it's about $17,000. A percentage of $17,000 is a whole lot different from a percentage of $200,000 that you make away from here. I have 2 sons in this place, and I know how much taxes they pay. So when you throw out a percentage of we're the lowest, I expect we are probably the lowest, when you only make $17,000 a year to $22,000 around here compared to $200,000 someplace else. So I don't think that was a valuable statement.
Comment I would put on that, though, James, was that was property tax, not income tax.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
That was property tax, not income tax.
I'm talking about property tax, a percentage. I'm talking about property tax, yes.
Mr. Carpenter's reference to the 272, I believe, was the property tax rate. Mr. Johnson?
Yes, my understanding a few months ago, the county commission sent a letter to the state. I'm not sure what offices it went to, but it was related to the legislation that's being has been talked about. I guess next week they're going to have a special session on that, but had some comments, you had some recommendations, and have you gotten any feedback from any of that?
Nothing.
Nothing, okay. Well, they're meeting next week.
Yeah.
I would still like to see those concerns, responded to in a ethical and responsible way. And one of those has to do with the possibility of having some local jurisdiction instead of being totally trumped by the state regulations and laws and DEP. Is there a possibility of follow-up between now and then? Or is that something, I would even be willing to see that letter and maybe try to do some follow-up, because I think it's real important that with the way this issue has been dealt with in their county over the last year, that the legislature gives some local latitude toward making some decisions on how gas drilling might occur, whether it's moratorium or further regulations or whatever. Can you comment on that?
Yes.
Because they're meeting next week.
Right. I learned of that news a few days ago too, that the special session starts next week. And I'm trying to put my thoughts together and my schedule together to make it to Charleston for a day next week and meet with some people, maybe perhaps Tim Manchin or DEP or somebody, to have some of those written concerns addressed. I think that behooves us to do that, try to participate in that discussion. I wanted to try to make it.
Is that letter available to the public?
Sue can get you a copy.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to say again, and I hate to be the one who keeps saying this, but I really, well, the tension of the questions